Hi guys and welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a salted caramel cake. Let's begin. To get started on the recipe, you want to take yourself a medium sized saucepan and into it place your sugar and your water and mix the two together until they are fully combined. You can then transfer that onto a hob which is over a medium high heat and allow it to sit there until it reaches temperature. I will leave the temperature you need in the blog post which will be linked down below. While your sugar mixture is coming up to temperature, grab yourself a mixing bowl and into it place your egg yolks followed by your whole egg and then whisk over a medium high speed until the mixture is lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency. You'll notice the volume has changed as well. It should have trebled to quadrupled somewhere in that region, and that's what you're looking for. As you can tell, it's much paler, much lighter, much fluffier. That's perfect. Once the sugar mixture has come up to temperature, you can then turn the speed down on your mixer to a medium and gently and carefully add in all of that hot sugar mixture. This will help cook the eggs and make the buttercream safe to eat. Just whisk the buttercream until it's cool enough to touch the bottom of the bowl. Then you can start to add in your butter a bit at a time, mixing until it's fully incorporated, and you will notice that it goes from looking maybe a little bit on the loose side to being very thick, and this is completely normal, so don't worry. And even if it is a little loose, just put it into the fridge and it will firm up perfectly. You can then give the bowl one good scraping down just to incorporate any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. Then you can go ahead and add in the caramel, and I added roughly around 100 to 150 grams, which was the perfect amount. Just mix that in until it's fully incorporated. Because this buttercream has a lot of butter, it does stay a yellowish colour. It'll only colour slightly, so if you want to add some colour to get that more caramel look, feel free to. Give the bowl a quick scraping down. Then you can start on the cake mix. So into a bowl, add in your butter and sugar and beat the two together until they are lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency, around 5 to 7 minutes. Then you can start to add in your eggs one at a time, beating well in between each addition. You can then go ahead and give the bowl a good scraping down just to incorporate any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. Sometimes they stick at the bottom or the side of the bowl, don't worry, give it a quick scraping down. Then you can place a sieve over the top and add in your dry ingredients. And then you'll just want to pass them through to remove any lumps that may be in the mixture. Cocoa powder is prolifically bad for having lumps in it, just discard the lumps. Then you can mix this in over a medium-low speed. If you start the mixer too high, you'll have a cloud of flour, cocoa powder and everything everywhere, which is not ideal. Mix until the cake batter is smooth and glossy, being careful not to overmix. You can then go ahead and give the bowl a good scraping down. This is just to incorporate any bits of the dry ingredients that may not have been fully incorporated from earlier on. You can then go ahead and divide the cake batter between two 8-inch sandwich tins and then just spread it out and level it out to be as level as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but almost would make it better, more consistent when baking. Repeat the process with both cakes and then set aside while we make the other layers of cake. So then you'll want to start on the brown sugar cake, which is just brown sugar and butter beaten together until they are lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency, followed by adding in the eggs and mixing until they're fully incorporated, then adding in the vanilla and giving the bowl a good scraping down just to incorporate any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on, as sometimes they stick at the bottom or the side of the bowl, so scraping down is quite important to incorporate those bits that may not have been fully incorporated. You can then go ahead and add in the dry ingredients, passing them through a sieve first just to remove any lumps that may be in the mixture, as some you don't really want those in your final cake batter. Then mix it on a medium-low speed just until everything is incorporated. If you need to add a little bit of milk, feel free to. Sometimes the mixtures vary, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It should be smooth and glossy. Then give your bowl another scraping down just to incorporate any bits of dry ingredients that may not have been fully incorporated from earlier on. And it's the same process again, just adding the cake batter to the tins. I did mine with scales, spread it out, and once you've got it spread out, you're ready for the oven. Ta-da, it's done. So both the vanilla and chocolate cakes have the same baking time. I will leave all of that information in the blog post, so don't forget to check it out if you are interested in making this recipe. So once your cakes are baked and fully cooled, you can level the tops off and then spread over a generous amount of simple syrup. This just helps to add more flavour and moisture to the cake. You don't have to do it, but it really does help and elevates the cake to be that bit better, so I totally recommend doing it. You can then go ahead and take your cake stand, plate or board and place a small amount of buttercream into the middle, smear it around until you have a thin layer, and then place your first layer of cake on top, pressing it down to secure it in place. Then on top of the cake, add a generous amount of buttercream and just spread that out until it's level and consistent. And feel free to add in the caramel as well if you want to add more caramel, but to make it stable, I didn't. Then you can place on top an alternative layer of cake. So I'm starting with chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, vanilla. It's the same process, just top it with some of the buttercream, spread it around, and then add in some of the caramel sauce or spread, whichever one you have. And I just found this to be the perfect amount. If you added more, it might have been a bit too sweet, but feel free to also add in some of those little caramel fudge pieces just for texture. You don't have to, it just really helps elevate the cake up. You could always add these in the layers where you're not adding caramel. It's up to you, you can really customise it. And again, repeat the process with the final 2 layers of cake. So for this cake, I wasn't looking for a perfectly coated cake. I was going with that semi kind of rustic look. So I didn't use all of my buttercream in the end or anything. So instead of giving a crumb coat and then a final coat of icing, I just went with one coat. I didn't care if you could see bits of cake, like you can, it's fine. It was not meant to be perfect because it wasn't for any special occasion, it was just for a recipe. You can then go ahead, once your layer of buttercream is done, you can place it into the fridge and let it firm up. I found between half an hour and an hour is the perfect amount of time, but again, it might vary on how cool your climate is. Just leave it to chill anyway. And then of course I'm adding some sort of drip, and this time I've done it with caramel rather than chocolate or ganache, just because I wanted to do something a little bit different, and seeing as it was a caramel cake and this caramel works perfectly once warmed up for a drip, that's what I did. Not perfect, but again, it's meant to be a bit more on the rustic side. And plus, it's not always about the looks, it's sometimes about taste. Well, always about taste. With the remaining buttercream, you can pipe rosettes on top. Feel free to pipe them as big or as small as you'd like them. It's really up to you. Then on top of the rosettes, I add 2 of these little salted pretzels, just to add a bit of salt flavour, because you're only getting it a bit in the cake, which is perfectly balanced, don't worry. And then you can place it back into the fridge to firm up. Once your cake is cooled, you can then go ahead and cut yourself a slice and enjoy. This is the perfect cake to celebrate any sort of occasion, really. It's pretty versatile, and look at that, you've got 4 layers of cake. What's not to enjoy? So thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more from me, and I'll be back again soon with another recipe, so join me then. In the meanwhile, don't forget to check out the description. There'll be a link to this recipe, a link to my blog, and links to all my social media, so don't forget to go and follow me over on there. But that's all for today, hope you enjoyed. Bye guys.